In 2015, 21 men were captured by ISIS on a beach in Libya. With cameras rolling, they were given one choice: deny Jesus and live, or confess his name and die. What happened next shocked the world. These men, poor migrant workers with little power in this world, became giants of faith in the eyes of heaven. Their story reminds us what true devotion looks like: faith that no sword, no gun, and no terror can destroy. The men were Coptic Christians from Egypt, many from small rural villages. They weren't celebrities or preachers. They weren't wealthy or influential. They were simply ordinary men who had left their families behind to work in Libya, hoping to send money home for food, clothing, and education. In December 2014 and January 2015, ISIS militants targeted Christians in Libya. These 21 men were seized, dragged away from the construction sites and homes where they labored. For weeks they were held captive in secret. Reports say they were beaten, mocked, and pressured to abandon their faith. Their captors promised freedom if only they would say a few words to reject Christ and embrace Islam. But back home in Egypt, their families gathered in prayer. Mothers wept. Fathers begged God for mercy. Children asked when their dads were coming home. The waiting was agony, but even in the uncertainty, their loved ones clung to faith. On February 15, 2015, ISIS released a video that would horrify the world. The footage shows the 21 men marched in single file along the coastline, dressed in bright orange jumpsuits, each flanked by a black-clad militant armed with a knife. They were forced to kneel on the sand, the waves of the Mediterranean Sea lapping behind them. The executioners demanded, "Renounce Jesus, convert, and you will live." But one by one, the men refused. Instead of denying Christ, their final words became a chorus: Ya Rab Yasu, Lord Jesus Christ. And as the blades fell, their blood flowed into the sea. ISIS thought the world would be silenced by fear. But instead, the voices of these men became a testimony that rang louder than the waves. Their courage turned the beach into an altar, and their deaths into a sermon. News agencies around the globe carried the story. The images were brutal, but the faith of the men could not be ignored. In Egypt, the Coptic Church immediately declared them martyrs. Churches filled with mourners who wept and worshipped at the same time, singing hymns of resurrection through their tears. Their families gave some of the most powerful testimonies of all. One mother, when asked if she regretted her son's faith, replied, "I thank God my son is in heaven. I will never deny Christ, even if it costs me the same." In the face of grief, there was no bitterness, only pride and gratitude that their sons had stood firm. Not long after, the Coptic Orthodox Church canonized them as saints, 21 ordinary men elevated into eternal remembrance. Their example continues to inspire Christians around the world, from villages in Egypt to cathedrals in Europe to churches in America. The book of Revelation says in 12:11, "They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death." These men embodied that verse. They had no theological degrees, no platforms, no pulpits. But they carried the most powerful testimony: the willingness to lose everything rather than lose Christ. Their story reminds us of the earliest martyrs of the Church, Polycarp of Smyrna, who refused to curse Christ even at the stake; Perpetua and Felicity, who went singing to their execution; and the 40 martyrs of Sebaste, soldiers who froze on a lake rather than deny Jesus. The blood of the martyrs has always been the seed of the Church. And in our modern time, in full view of the cameras, the 21 Copts proved that legacy is still alive. But this story isn't just history, it's a challenge. Their courage forces us to ask, would I stand firm if my life were on the line? Do I live boldly for Christ even in the everyday pressures, at work, school, or with friends? Am I willing to say, Lord Jesus Christ, when the world demands my silence? Martyrdom is not about seeking death. It's about living so faithfully that when the test comes, your choice is already made. The 21 martyrs remind us that faith isn't finished when the world says it's over. Their lives and deaths declare forever that Jesus is Lord. Their story calls us to live with the same boldness, to never be ashamed of Christ, to treasure him above comfort, safety, even life itself. If you are thankful for their witness, type Jesus is Lord in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and share this video so their courage continues to echo across the world. And remember, the same Jesus who strengthened them on that beach is the same Jesus who will strengthen you in your trials today.